MTN is Africa's biggest cellular network operator, operating in 21 countries across the region, including big businesses in South Africa, Nigeria and Ghana. It has over 176 million customers. MTN has a market cap of 303 million rand, a price to earnings ratio of 14.2 and a dividend yield of 5%. We know that MTN, in terms of earnings, we're looking at Nigeria, they're pretty active in that region.
Yeah, so, you know, they went into Nigeria in the early days, in the 90s, and people thought they were crazy to pay $250 million for a license to operate there. But it's been a magnificent success. They have excellent profit margins up there. Basically, in Nigeria, you have to do everything yourself. You've got to build the base station. You've even got to put the power generator in with its own diesel supply. So it's been a long haul for them, but they've got a magnificent business there. They've got the #1 market position. And if you think about it, a emerging young population want to be connected. You've got smartphones coming through, so you've got more data sales to look forward to. And in effect, you've got very little to compete with because your fixed line operator in these countries is not particularly solid. So Nigeria, fantastic, and then you can add to that all the other businesses in places like Ghana and Rwanda and all the countries down in the south as well.
Stefan, your thoughts on MTN?
I really like this company. The one concern, I mean, you probably have to be more, not just optimistic, but more realistic view, is that the margins are very high and they will probably come under pressure. The question is then how elastic is this African consumer to price? When the price starts to decrease on voice calls, will they start to use more of the voice? And we still have probably one of the lowest ARPUs in the world, and perhaps that can lift as the prices come down.
I think that's an excellent point, because you know in India it's very competitive. They have very low tariffs, but people talk a lot. In our market we have very high tariffs by global standards, and so people, you know, use multiple SIM cards and take advantage of weekend specials and all of that stuff. The other big issue with MTN is the situation in Iran. They've sunk a lot of money in there, and Iran is basically going down the tubes at the moment. I mean, it may not be apparent to the outside world, but because of the standoff between the US and Israel and Iran around nuclear developments, basically they've tightened up the sanctions noose to the point where the Iranian currency has fallen totally out of bed, and they've hit Iran where it hurts, which is oil exports. Now, the trouble here is Iran has always been very full of itself until now, but you know, now they're going to have a serious fiscal problem. So I'm really worried, in fact, that there's going to be some sort of collapse there. I'm actually less concerned that there's going to be a military strike against some of the Iranian nuclear enrichment facilities. But I mean, I've been worrying about this now for the last, you know, year, and you can see in the last 3-4 months it's been rallying to all-time highs. So I don't know what to say.
So now, getting in at those prices, is that something you would be doing right now, Stefan?
Listen, it's not expensive. I mean, the price chart may look as though it's running quite a bit, but it's still on a 5% dividend yield. It is increasing its cash payments to shareholders. It's going to distribute. It's a cash generating machine at the moment, and it's going to distribute all that cash. On that point of Iran, that's one of the biggest concerns for MTN is how much cash do they currently have in Iran and Syria, because that cash they can't easily get out and distribute to shareholders. So how are they going to get that cash out of those two countries is one of the big questions, and hopefully they can figure that one out.
So with those concerns, hot or not on MTN?
No, I'm hot on MTN.
Still hot. Paul, hot or not?
Yes, I'm hot on it too. We own a lot of it. All of our clients own it. I think the point to remember here is a couple of years ago people said this was a mature business because they assumed once you reached 100% penetration of SIM cards to population, that was it. But in fact, what we found is that in the new world we're going into, there's SIM cards in all sorts of things. There's a SIM card in your phone. There's a SIM card in your iPad. There's a SIM card in your car.
Everywhere.
Next, there's going to be one in your fridge or in your home aircon. Yeah. So all of this adds up. And if you look at what's happening with the network carriers in the global markets, like Europe and the US, they're all doing well, because when you get your iPhone 5, suddenly you're using 2 gigs of data a month. And because you're totally addicted to Twitter and Facebook, you don't mind, you just pay. So I think there's a big business case there for these companies. We're definitely hot on them.
So 2 hots on MTN.